Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar. And my name is Wei. I will gonna I'm gonna be the host for today's event. And before we begin, I would like to set some house rules for this webinar. First, please turn off your cameras and audios. Second, please pay attention to the speaker and show respect to others. Third, enjoy the webinar. Well, actually, today we are presenting Advancing Equality for Youth 2021, organized by Cooler, Bursme, Soho, We Rebel with a Cause, and Youth for Now. And also, we would like to acknowledge our partners. First, Alliance for Filipino Chinese Students, Ateneo Saladong, Bagat Youth Alliance, Center of Indonesia Sign Language Integrated Service, Transdown Marketing, UB Chinese Student Association, SDCS Student Council, USD Scarlet Accountancy, USD Scarlet Commerce, and our media partner, Genoid TV. This program is organized as part of the Empower Youth Congress 2021. For more information, let's welcome Mr. George Kevin Tu, the founder of Brosme, to give us his insights about the Congress. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. My name is Josh Tew, and I would like to present about our the Empowered Youth 2021. Empowered Youth 2021 is a culminating event that includes a series of webinars, a total of 6 webinars, and a fun run fundraiser, which will which will be related to the SDG number 4, which is about equality education, which are all centered and focused on youth empowerment. And of course, behind the fair are the different organizations led by the ASEAN Youth Organization. These are Youth Can Do It Organization, Pro SME, Project Yugto PH, Kaya PH, Mutya Project PH, Pencil, Illustrious PH, The Cool Or, We Rebel with the Cause, Sound of Hope, and Youth for Now. Also, we would like to acknowledge the presence uh, and our major sponsor for the whole Congress, Bagat Youth Alliance. Furthermore, the goal or objective of the whole Empowered Youth 2021 is first to strengthen collaboration and communication between the Southeast Asian region. Second is to initiate and promote youth empowerment. Lastly, is to expand the knowledge of the youth in the different aspects of the community. For example, mental health, equality, business ethics, and more. Behind the success of the events are these inspiring founders of different organizations under Empowered Youth 2021. First, we have Miss Kimberly Allen of Illustrious PH. Second, we have Mr. Paul Wu from Pencil. Third, we have the two founders of Project Yugto PH, Miss Patricia Pangan and Karen Ann Yu. Next is yours truly from Pro SME. Sixth, we have this young aspiring leader, Mr. Andre Barredo of Youth Can Do It organization. Seventh is Miss Maui Perez, who is the founder of Kaya PH. And lastly is Miss Marian De Jesus of Mutia Project PH. And the schedule of the whole Congress from day one is July 7th. So we had our first event last Wednesday, which is the storytelling Live Life Through Stories by Pencil. For day two, which is yesterday from 1 to 3 p.m., is the Stories Untold Through Pandemic, a conversation about emotional well-being by Project Into. And today we're having the Advancing Equality for Youths by Pro SME, and also uh, along with our other organizations. Next, for day 4 is July 10, which is tomorrow. It will be Discayacion by Kaya PH, and for day 6, for which is on July 12, 3 p.m., will be the Malaya 2.0 Learning SOGIE Bill by the Youth Can Do It organization. All right. I would like also to invite everyone to our fundraising event, which is called Step Up, which is a virtual fun run fundraiser by Illustrious PH. It is a fun run week from July 4 to 10, 2021, and it is open for monetary donations for the whole month of July. The beneficiaries of the event will be the public schools in Abra, Philippines. And if you have questions or concerns, please do contact us on empoweredyouth2021 at gmail.com. Thank you. Now I will send the floor to Doan once again.
Thank you, Joyce, for that wonderful speech. And now, without further ado, we will continue our program, Advancing Equality for Youth 2021. And first, to produce our first speaker, let me call on our moderators, Miss Gaia, founder of Soho, and Miss Anna, co-founder, We Rebel with a Cause. Welcome.
Thank you, Duan. Right.
Thank you, Doan. It's nice to be here.
Good evening, everyone. My name
Good
is
evening,
Gaia.
everyone.
My name is Gaia, and I am the ASEAN Youth Ambassador for Malaysia. I am so glad to meet everyone this evening. So thank you so much for being here. So thank you so much for attending today's webinar titled Advancing Equality for Youth. So I will be co-moderating today's session with Hannah Shabira. Introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. Before we start, I wanted to ask the technical team to please take down the presentation. All right, so then we can see our full speaker in effect. So hello, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Hannah Shabira, and I will be the second moderator for today. We are pleased to have 4 lovely women, 4 lovely speakers for our event today, and we cannot be more excited to share with you our insights between surrounding issues of gender and disability inequality around ASEAN. Okay, so without further ado, we will begin the session by introducing our respected speakers today. Welcoming our first speaker, Ms. Laura Lasmana Wijaya. Earlier this year, she was appointed as the youth representative for ASEAN Disability Forum. She is also the head of Indonesian Association for the Welfare of the Deaf Sign Language Center in Indonesia since October 2017. She has studied and received her bachelor and master's in linguistics from the Chinese University of Hong Kong. Her advocacy for disability and equality, especially the deaf and hard of hearing community, is reflected through her works, whether it's from her research and presentation or from her work in ADF and her community. Hello, Ms. Laura. We're really happy to meet you.
Hello, Hannah. I'm so happy to meet you. Also, Gaia, thank you so much for inviting me to be here involving in ASEAN Empowered Youth. Thank you so much. I'm so happy.
Thank you.
It's our pleasure. Thank you, Ms. Laura. And moving on to introduce our second speaker, which is Ms. Sabrina Arifin. So Ms. Sabrina Melissa Arifin graduated from the Griffith University with a Master's of Commerce Accounting and Finance in 2006. Since then, Sabrina has forged a successful and influential career with her community involvement driven by key social issues surrounding gender equality, women issues, and discrimination. Sabrina began her career in gender issues in 2010 when she organized a campaign to raise awareness about domestic violence. Since then, she has worked with several women's rights organizations advocating for the rights of women and children. In 2016, Sabrina founded the Society for Equality, Respect, and Trust for All, called Serata. Serata is a non-profit organization based in Kota Kinabalu, Sabah. Serata works to dismantle long-held socially constructed gender roles and promote gender equality by engaging men and boys in partnership with women and girls through their programs and training. She has written several articles championing the role of fathers in families, linking this to increasing the women's representation in the workforce and beyond. In 2017, she was selected as a fellow for the 2017 Community Solutions Program cohort, sponsored by the US Department of State, with funding provided by the US government and supported in its implementation by IREX. She was placed in San Francisco for 4 months to work with the host organization, Paid Leave for the US, PL Plus US, to campaign for paid parental leave for all working people in the US. As a result of her work, she has won several awards, such as the 2018 Community Achievement Award from the Malaysian Australian Alumni Council and 2019 Outstanding Young Alums from Griffith Business School. Sabrina is currently a writer and editor for Sabah's first parenting magazine called Parents Avenue. So thank you. We are pleased to have you, Sabrina, and to introduce our third speaker. Back to Hannah.
Welcoming our final speaker, Miss Sazi Falak. She is a well-known actress and TV host. She played Sasha in Gul and Ginchu and appeared on multiple award shows. Putting passion and business into action, she has started her own fashion line, Sazi Falak KL. She is passionate in engaging with women and men to lead a momentum lifestyle and helping entrepreneurs scale up their businesses. Pursuing her passion in business, she co-founded Precession Capital Berhad, an investment holding firm, and founded Akar Pohon Capital Berhad, a venture capital founded by celebrities focusing on impact investing and early stage investing. And also, she is the co-founder of Precession Capital Sendirian Berhad. Being a strong female figure in the industry, she co-founded Womentum, to gather like-minded women who strive to achieve goals in their lives and support each other. Womentum is working to advocate and create awareness on the challenges faced by women by having conversation about taboo topics in our society. These challenges are real and you are not alone. So without further ado, let us all give a warm welcome to our wonderful speaker for today.
All right, so to kickstart our session today, we will be asking basic questions to all our speakers. So starting from Miss Laura, so what does equality mean to you?
All right, so we already have the interpreter spotlight already. Let me check. So, thank you for your question. Based on that question, you mentioned about equality. We know that it means the same position and we give the same opportunity, and also it's equal, the same equal opportunity to all of us. But we have another different word. The word is equity instead of equality. I probably want to show you a picture to give you a clear picture. You can see this picture behind me. So this is my virtual background. Can you see it clearly? Okay, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so we have the word equality. So we give the same level to every person. So you can see if we give the same thing to people who is short in that picture, probably that person will not feel satisfied with the facilitation that given to him or her. We as a person, we need to think about how to adjust the situation. So for being equal, in terms of disability, person with disability, we know that people with disability has their own needs. Based on their need, they have their own challenge. We need to see that first. The blind people, we have to see that what their challenge they have, they cannot see clearly like the others. And for the deaf people, so for the blind people, they do not need sign language interpreter. So if we would like to give support person with disability, for example, for the blind people, we need to know what the needs that what they need. They can hear clearly. So we give the best access for them that probably related to the sound, not to the visual thing. For example, if I take myself as an example, so what accommodation that should be given to me? Is it Braille? No, it's not. Because I can see, I can read. So that means I don't need the Braille technique. Here we have Kaka and Adi, who's in charge for as a sign language interpreter. So they are my access to join this event. So if we would like to give an opportunity or we would like to give support, we need to make sure what they need. That's something that we should remember. So we need to pay attention. There are a slight difference between equality and equity. So basically what's important is to make people feel comfortable doing their own thing in their life. I think that's my answer for the first question.
All right. Thank you so much, Ms. Laura, for that very insightful answer. Maybe we can move on to Miss Sabrina. Same question applies. What does equality mean to you?
Yeah, thank you so much for that question. And similar to what Laura was saying, that everyone has the same rights or access to opportunities, which I agree with her. And then it really requires equity as well in order for that to happen. But when we talk about gender equality, it is more about getting male and females the same human rights, because you may know that we have we have a human rights convention, right? And it's supposed to be applicable to both men and women, but unfortunately that has not been very effective. And that's the reason that we need something like CEDAW, which is the convention for the elimination of discrimination against women, because in so many parts of the world, people don't exactly see women as human beings, or rather more like a subspecies of human, because of tradition, because of culture. A lot of women are not given their full human rights. For example, if they were to get married, suddenly we subject them to a different set of standards. Like suddenly they're no longer able to exist as a full person, so I think that's really where we need to start. We have been working for so many years, but there are perhaps other ways we need to explore in order for us to close that gap. Okay, back to you.
Yep, that was an insightful description on what equality means to you, Sabrina. That was great. So now, Sazi, to you, what does equality mean to you?
Hi, good evening, everybody. I'm Sazi from Malaysia, and thank you so much, guys, for having me be on board. I'm really happy to be here and really honored. What does equality mean to me? Equality means to me what's interesting, when Laura shared equity, I realized that I had seen there somewhere, and I'm a huge supporter of that. You're right, equity. But for me, equality really means just equal rights for everybody, regardless race, gender, abilities, disabilities, wealth, and health, and all that. So for me, is that there's no double standards. Everyone gets the same treatment, and everyone gets to be treated fairly. And in the end, it's just that what we want to do essentially is to create a loving, accepting, and understanding world where we all love, accept, and understand each other. So that's what equality means to me. Thank you for that question.
All right. Those are all valid points that lead us towards what I think we can all agree what we need in the society more today. But But I also have another follow-up question to that. So, to all our speakers today, what makes you want to be an advocate for equality? Because, to receive equity, that's also a luxury. So, why do you want to become sort of a voice of action? So let's start with Miss Laura.
Yes, in terms of equity, we need to do a lot of things, and we need to think about the future. In terms of a disability, the situation is still left behind until now. Based on my experience, I also feel that kind of thing. Like, if any kind of situation, no sign language interpreter, I don't understand what people say because they use spoken language. So, and now a lot of deaf children do not have or do not get the suitable access, challenges faced by them, by the deaf children. And I don't want my experience when I was kid happen to these future children, and things need to be changed. They have to live their own life better compared to me. So this is my motivation. I fight for the rights for the deaf children. That's from me.
Right. Thank you so much, Miss Laura. I think that's very thoughtful of you, because I feel like the current generation, only a few or a minority that takes the step to, think about the future and future generation. Only a few does that. So that's really kind of you. Now, coming back to Sabrina. So what makes you want to be an advocate for equality?
Yeah. I guess it's sort of sad because I think people who have ever experienced inequalities in their life are the ones that would understand the issue and would be very motivated to fight for equality. So for myself, as a domestic violence survivor myself, I it took me a number of years actually to realize that, oh wow, this is something that no one really talks about. Well, back then when it happened to me, that it wasn't it wasn't an issue that was talked about often, and finding help was something of which was difficult. It's available, but somehow you couldn't find it. And for me, I felt like, if we're going to talk about domestic violence, we're going to give, services, it's already at the point where it's a point of no return. So for me, I wanted to see from the root cause of this whole thing, before it even begins, and I realized that the issue has always been gender inequality, the way we raise boys to be different and the way we raise girls to be different. And we don't realize it as a society because we've always, from maybe the day we were born, we've always been treated in that way. So we never really noticed it until something happens later that really makes you think about, oh wow, what if us as a society were, we were raised to think differently about each other, like, oh, boys and girls can do the same thing. There's no, they shouldn't be these boxes. Yeah, so that's why I'm a advocate for gender equality.
Wow, that's amazing. There's an underlying bias in our society within different gender, and that also plays a big part of why inequalities still exist today. And moving on to our next speaker, Miss Sazi, can you also give a reason why you want to be an advocate for equality?
Wow, listening to these stories, listening to Laura's story and Sabrina's stories, and somehow, I don't know whether this sounds correct, but I fell into this role. But I think it's just really because of my experiences. I got into the entertainment line, and a group of my girlfriends and I got together to raise funds for those who are poverty stricken, and just having experience, seeing their lives and such, and seeing how wealth is distributed not equally. Social inequality happens for them. Gender equality, of course, is big, although I've never personally experienced it myself because I've been in the entertainment line, so it's a bit different. But just seeing people go through all these hardships, and for me, after being in the entertainment line for 20 years and having led a few things, I realized that I have a voice that I could use for people to hear and to create something good out of it. And of course, not fell into, but I created Womentum, which is for women to be in momentum. And for that, it is another thing as well, where we work towards um, getting women and men to understand each other. One part of the Womentum part is that because we also created a men's chat, a topic on men where we are to focus on empowering men as well. A lot of times when we have these women-led organizations, we tend to forget that um, we need to be able to learn how to live with the other gender as well. And that for me is also equality. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Ms. Sazi. Yes, equality means for all, not only one or the other. Okay, so let's try to move to more in depth to our speakers. So maybe we can start with Miss Laura. We have a couple of questions prepared, and we want to hear more about your insights. So before this, I mentioned that you are the youth representative for ADF. So I have a question regarding that. How has ADF advocated and tackled issues of inequality towards people with disabilities?
Yeah, it is true. The representative for ASEAN Disability Forum, so ADF stands for ASEAN Disability Forum. So it is kind of organization. It is not a big organization. It's merely a forum for a discussion. So a lot of chances to discuss about and sharing about experiences between the youth in ASEAN. That's ADF work for. So it contains that it involves several countries from ASEAN, and each country has one participants, like for Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, and etc. So we gather in one place, we discuss, and there are 10 people here in ADF. Based on the experiences, we find out that a lot of challenges that we face is even we are facing now, inequality happens still. Common people still do not aware the existence of persons with disability. So that's what we discussed in 2010 until now. It's to 2021. We can see the difference. A lot of things has been done, and we fight. We all fight for these 11 years.
Okay, changing the interpreters now.
Okay. All right.
Okay, I will. Nah, ADF wants to have equality. They are ensuring equality for disability because the disability has many various. So we will go for equality for all disabilities. And second one, we want to ensure that UNCRPD, United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, already signed in United Nations, and everyone should be agree that there's no one left behind. But a lot of people didn't know about this UNCRPD, so we promote more to people, and ADF has responsible to promote it. And the last one, many people doesn't know about disabilities, and we want to train them to understand about disabilities, about the capacities. They want to build their capacities, how to advocate people that still didn't understand about disability, so we train them. Actually, there are a lot of activities that we already activities that we have done, and we also joining International Disability Alliance and International Disability Forum, and we already declared in Bali, and we also supporting about SDGs SDGs goal, because disability also has equal rights like other people. So we try to treat them. And now ASEAN Empowered Youth also work together with ADF and collaborating with ADF, and we learn together to promote about UNCRPD also. ADF is very important because connected into international level, and international level also connected to ASEAN and also the regional to research more and giving data to the ADF about disability, and ADF could give the data into to IDF. So the collaboration is very important. We cannot not work together. So we should be collaborating together. Now, for instance, about the data about how many disabilities that stay in ASEAN and what the challenges they're facing every day. So the reports, the data, we still try to research more, and focusing about youth. So we will open for all youth to join us to research more and gather the data more. That's all, I think, because of the time. I think, yeah. Thank you.
Right. That was great, Ms. Laura. But then I'll be asking you the second question. So now that you have addressed that ADF has on how ADF actually tackled issues related to inequality towards people with disabilities, right? My question to you is that how much does the public misconception of disability plays a role in inequality towards people with disability?
Oh, yeah. Actually, people with disability, not only physical challenges they're facing, but also the mindset. For instance, for deaf, blind, also deaf and blind, also people that has cerebral palsy and also other disability has different challenge. Actually, this is not our problem, but the society problem. That's the point, because of the society that challenge us. For just a simple example, in Jakarta, if you walk in Jakarta, there's a pedestrian that are a lot of bump. So how people walk there comfortably, it will be hard for them to walk comfortably. And if people walk uncomfortable, how about the people that using wheelchair? So it means we have to make a more comfortable pedestrian for people that walking in there. So the people that using wheelchair also get through it comfortably. And also blind people also has some trouble because the what is it, the yellow lines for the paving block for the blind it should be be there, but there also no good access for them. Also for the public transportation, the information given by sound. For instance, in Jakarta, we have a train always given the information by sound, but the audio we have no visual information, just audio. There are no text where we should go and where this train go, or they will end at what station. And yeah, the situation still happen until today. We're still facing many challenges and inequality. Actually, we want to be more equal, so we try harder to advocating and etc. Yeah.
Okay, so I think that is actually very thoughtful, because I think advocating um, um, equals to bringing up awareness on this issue. So moving on to the final question for Ms. Laura. So what can we do to achieve equality for all?
Well, if we want to be equal, we should learn and research about disability. Start with that. We try to learn more and more active, more proactive, and acknowledge things that happen around. Be more open-minded. Don't be don't having any mindset that want to helping disabilities, but more supporting disabilities. By supporting disabilities, it means we saw people with person with disabilities are equal, just like other people. If we research them, who are them, be open-minded, be supportive, it means we can be a friend with them and not participate them and not leaving them behind. I think that's the basic one. I think that's enough.
Right.
That's wonderful. To sum up the entire talk for Miss Laura, is that people with disability needs to be supported. Being supportive to people with disabilities means also being inclusive for them. So making sure that they have what they need, and try not to go from the mindset for helping disabilities, rather than raising their voice and making sure that their rights are also as included as everyone else. Okay, so Gaia.
All right, so thank you for summing up, Hannah. So moving on to our second speaker, we have Sabrina. So hi, Sabrina. Okay, so this is my question to you. So how has Surata advocated and tackled issues of gender equality?
Okay. Yeah, so Sarata is, we promote gender equality, but we focus on bringing men and boys into the conversation, because we believe that while, women empowerment is really great, we also need, like, let's say that the men are at this level and women are down here, and we're trying to empower them to come up to the men's level. But at the same time, we need the men to be able to come down and then meet us halfway, so that we can be, we can close the gap. And actually, when I started Serata, my focus was on women representation, because in Malaysia it's particularly bad because in the parliament we don't even have 15% of women in the cabinet, whatever state it is. I think maybe Penang is better than the rest of us, but yeah, so it's really bad. And the number of women CEOs are also very low. And And the female labor force participation rate for Malaysia was the lowest. I think if it wasn't the lowest, it was one of the lowest rates in the whole of ASEAN. Yeah, so one of the reasons for this is because women are leaving their jobs in order to focus on the home. You know, once they get married, they they have children and they don't come back to work. If yeah, once they leave, they don't come back basically because they have a very hard time getting back into the workforce. So that was my focus actually before I went to the US, and then I was working for this organization called Paid Leave for the US, and over there I didn't realize how in the US it's worse than us, because at least here, if you're a woman working in an organization and you get pregnant, you at least get 2 months of maternity leave, right? And then we have been pushing to 90 days, but we don't have paternity leave. Like paternity leave is basically zero. That's not in the labor law. But in the US, they don't even provide paid maternity leave. Yeah, so it wasn't just women fighting to have the right to take leave to take care of the kids or the family. It was also the men together. Yeah, so women were not able to afford to take leave after they give birth. Some of them actually went back to work just 4 days after giving birth, and that is ridiculous. And then it really got me thinking, like, wow, we keep talking about maternity leave in Malaysia, but what about the men? Yeah. And I think in ASEAN, most countries already have paternity leave except for Malaysia, and I think Brunei. Everyone else, if I remember right, everyone else has paternity leave at least of 2 weeks. Yeah. So Malaysia, unless you work for the government, they give you 7 days, and you are basically at the mercy of your employer if they want to give you leave or not for the men. And so for us, our focus when we came back was about active fatherhood, getting men to be more involved, because while we want to push for paternity leave, we cannot just simply push without seeing what's happening on the ground. What is people's perception about men being fathers? And yeah, so recently I actually I wrote a paper on that, and it really differs, the companies on their view about paternity leave. If they're a big company, they're more likely to agree that men need time off for paternity leave. But if you go to a small company, they'll say, no, it's too expensive. Even 3 days was too much for them. Yeah. So that was why Sarata wanted to focus on active fatherhood, talking about the important roles of fathers, because especially in Sabah, somehow we have a problem with absent fathers. So we are actually a partner of this organization. It's a global organization called MenCare. MenCare is about men being sharing the load at home. Yeah. Other than that, we also focus on healthy masculinity, talking to men about, is there really any different being a man and a woman? So we've actually done a few talks, a few sessions actually for men, gender sensitization. So basically we do a man box exercise where we talk about, what does it mean to be a man? Come on, write down what is the characteristics of a man, and then we start talking. Is it really a man? To be strong. Are you sure women can't be strong as well? Or okay, so men are the breadwinners, but are you saying that women can't be breadwinners? And that has really changed over the years, right? Because families are no longer there's only one breadwinner. It's no longer where only the men go out to work, because women are starting to be more empowered. So they are more women, doing tertiary studies. There are more women going into work. Yeah, but apparently we still need work because although in the university it's like 60% women, but when it comes to the workforce, when it comes to the parliament, there's like what 12% of women, and the workforce is like 30% women. So yeah, we still have a long way to go in this issue.
I see. Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I've there it's not just because we are off the sort of the um housewife trope doesn't
Mhm.
mean that we don't have a long way to go. So before we begin this one-on-one Q&A session with you, we talked about a little bit about gender bias. So I want to use that to lead on to our next question. So what kind of gender bias that we might not be aware of but is actually harmful to the fight against gender discrimination?
Yeah, I think it's all these stereotypes, and it starts even before a baby is born. Like, oh, is it gonna be a girl? And then suddenly the everything's pink. Or is it gonna be a boy? Everything's blue. And then you've already set this particular stereotypes on these babies even before they are born. Like, oh, she's gonna be a girl. Also, she's gonna be soft. She's gonna be listening to mommy all the time. But that doesn't really happen. And I think gender stereotypes is so deeply ingrained still. So like I mentioned earlier, like I was talking to these few companies about their views on paternity leave, right? So one one company actually said to me, no, men don't need paternity leave. Well, it's like the baby's too small anyway. It's the mother who should take care of the baby. What is the man doing there? And I was like, oh wow. Okay, so it's like maybe because we have always grown with that perception that it sticks with us even as we grow older. We don't really question it until you realize that so much has changed today. Like, I think I saw a posting just yesterday about why is it men finding it hard to find a life partner now, because women are able to choose. Women women can decide if they want this guy or not. It's not like in the past where women can't even open their own bank account. They can't buy land. So literally women need men in the past. But then we've taken all that away. Women are able to vote. Women are able to open their own bank accounts. So men, you have to work hard now. Men, if you want a life partner, you have to work hard. You can no longer say, "Oh, women, you need a man." It's not gonna work that way anymore. Yeah. So those are the bias things that we really need to think about, like all these stereotypes. We really need to stop that. Yeah.
I totally agree with you, Sabrina. So just now you said like you have to bring like the women from here to here and then some men from below, bring it down a little bit. So my
Mhm.
question is, why is it important for fathers and husbands, to share the load at home? Like, how does it affect women's representation in the workforce?
Okay. So I mentioned earlier, right? Like a lot of women, they're actually leaving the workforce because of household responsibilities and also childcare. And yeah, so actually women, even though they would say that they are able to do it all, but actually their time is taken up already with all these responsibilities at home, and to be taking more time to build a career at work is, it's the workplace right now is just not made for two breadwinners. um the workforce today is still built based on when the times before during your father or your grandfather time, you know where the man works and the women stays at home. And then to bring it today and then have the same rules like fixed hours. If you work overtime, you are a very dedicated employee. If you should focus on work and only work. That works maybe for a single breadwinner family, but now today no one can actually afford only on one salary, so you need both of them to work, and the women will lose out on this kind of rules, because to expect women to work the same way that men do, caring for the children because society expects them to do it, women will lose out. They are judged on the same standards as men who are working. Like, oh, you're not so dedicated because you didn't do overtime, or you're not so dedicated because something. So so it really affects women. So for me, it's about shifting that mindset that men too actually have a role. If they are in the family, they actually have a role too in raising the family. They have a role in sharing the load. I don't want to use the word helping, because it's their house too. It's their children too. Yeah, so it's about sharing the load. So if women are already sharing financial responsibilities, shouldn't the men too be sharing household and childcare responsibilities? It's only fair, because sometimes now women also might earn more than men. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sabrina, for the great sharing. I think I resonate a lot with what you have said.
Mhm.
I think, well, like it's like you're reaching 2022. Then I think more independent women are coming out. They're becoming more independent. So I believe we are clear on the question we have asked Sabrina. So now, for your information, you can follow Sarata in both
Yeah.
Instagram and their Facebook page and get more updates on their social media pages. Yes, kita Sarata. Yeah. All right. So moving on to our third and final speaker of the day. So hello, Ceci. So here is my first question to you. Okay. So as a public figure, why is it important? I mean, why is it promoting issues of equality important to you?
Um, as a public figure, as I mentioned earlier on, because I have this voice, because I have the ability to share my thoughts and opinions and see and do justice for the world. So for me, just based on my experiences, why is it important to promote equality? Well, because I can, in short, and because I want to, and because I see a lot of what's great about now is that this conversation is already happening, and a lot of changes have been made. And if you think about what Sarina has said, once upon a time, women couldn't vote, women couldn't open their own bank accounts, and because the conversation started then, a lot of things have changed for us in the future. So for me, another reason why it's important, I've got 3 children, 2 of them are girls. So it's something personal as well for me, and I want to make sure that my girls get to grow up in a world where they get their rights. They have the equality when it comes to any workplace. If they want to be whoever they want to be, they get to be whoever they want to be without it being gender biased and such. So that for me is why I choose to use my voice for something like this.
All right. Thank you so much, Miss Sazi. Before, when we were reading your biography, it says that you have a organization, and you have also mentioned this before. It's the Womentums organization. Now, I have kind of look at the Instagram a little bit just to see what you're posting about, and it is amazing. By the way, it dive into
Thank you.
questions that has been on my mind as a young woman today. But a question that I wanted to ask was, Womentum's description is a community of women in and aspire to be in momentum. So, have you personally faced challenges in being in momentum because of your gender?
I can actually speak about my experience now. And this goes back to what Sabrina has said. And it really resonated with me. If we are already sharing financial, what about shared household responsibilities? So, and my husband's an amazing man, and I love that. And he married me because I'm driven and ambitious, and he wants to support that, and that is great. However, this conversation about equality is really important because there are some facts that we are missing out. For instance, obviously in Malaysia, we are going through lockdown and CO. So I've been, I've had the privilege to work from home, and so does he. And we are very blessed to have companies where we can run from home digitally and work remotely. And having 3 children and few companies to run in a household where I don't have a helper, that means my husband and I have to step up. We have to share household responsibilities. And here he is, extremely excited that his wife is doing a lot of these things and wants to support. However, when it comes to taking care of the household, there are many times where I have to sit him down, like, if you want me to work just as hard, or you love me working as hard and you want to support me, therefore you also need to jump in and think about what do we need for dinner. Something so simple. And of course, it's not a huge problem, because it's something that I can still address. Um, but because of what women started back then, at least my husband comes from a place of understanding, and he has a mother that is just like me. But still, there's these little conversations where I have to kind of remind him. He takes it for granted when I am working, and when I say, "Can you support me?" when I have something going on, he forgets. So those little things. So for me, it's a little hard being in momentum. It's something that I have to address. But I am very lucky though, because I have a husband that will listen to me. He's willing to listen to me. But I think because of upbringing, because of our societal norms, and because of our culture, it is normal for women to be the one that worries about the house, to be the one that thinks about what the family needs to makan or have for dinner or lunch or whatsoever. So it can be a little taxing. I can go through my day, but when it comes to that, he forgets. But I'm glad this conversation is happening, and therefore a lot of these changes are being made. For I'm hoping that my girls one day, when they grow up and have a marriage, it will be equal, and it will be a shared responsibility or household responsibility.
All right. So thank you for the great sharing, Shaz. Okay, so now before we move on to the next question, I think I am responsible to share this to everyone. So Momentum, they are actually very active in Clubhouse. So if you haven't downloaded Clubhouse, please download Clubhouse and do join their room. I have to say this, I'm actually very addicted to Clubhouse after joining Momentum. Like this once I joined one of your rooms.
That's great.
Like ever since then, I've been like, oh, okay, I have to go and join this room. So I just suggest everyone, if you're interested, not only in the topics of women, but I think we do have topics related to men and their mental health and everything. So please join Momentum in Clubhouse. So okay, coming back to your question, all right? Okay, so wait, did I miss the question? Okay. All right, so sorry. Okay, so with the initiative that you and Nimi took to establish Momentum, as well as being the co-founder of Precession Capital Berhad, so how hard is it to break the glass ceiling for women in 2021 in terms of building business?
Um, well, to be honest, in terms of building business and what we're doing, it is not hard. In fact, with Precession Capital, Berhad, we don't even look at gender, and I'm very happy with that. And I think it's got to do with the fact that our founders, shareholders, which is my husband, myself, and a bunch of our founders, actually, when I think about it, a lot of times, so what we do, let me just do a little backstory first so that people understand. Precession Capital Berhad is an investment holding firm. So what we do is we educate people about capital, capital mechanism, we incubate and we invest in them as well. And more so, I'm very proud to say, is that a lot of the businesses are actually led by women. Huge businesses that are being led by women. Even my husband took notice. He said, you know what, a lot of times the women are, finding it easier to raise funds. And I think it's got to do because women are passionate. So when they come up with a business or a product or a service, their aspiration behind that is powerful. And I'm glad to say that a lot of investors are seeing that. When I asked one investor in particular, I said, what makes you want to invest in a business? He says, I don't invest in the business, I invest in the person. And I'm very happy to say a lot of women are leading that. So I think it is going good, I hope. And I hope it's the same everywhere else as well, or that it will be the same everywhere else.
Going back to Hannah. Hannah, you're muted.
All right. Thank you so much for all of the wonderful answers our speakers have given us today. We still have, sorry. We have finished all the questions that are prepared from our committee. And now we will go on and open the questions for the watchers. So just a reminder, please be sure to type in your questions in the questions box below on the comment box. And if you want to ask directly to our speakers, please address them as well, or you can raise your hand and one of our committee will ask you to unmute and open the video so that we can see your faces. All right, so it looks like we have a couple of questions here. For the first question, it's directly to Miss Laura. It's from Ailia Aquino. They ask, how should we encourage talk about helping person with disabilities? And what do you think is the most helpful way to make person with disabilities feel appreciated? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your question. But before I answer, I want to congratulate Sabrina and Sazi for fighting equality for women. I agree with both of you. If somebody asks, what you prefer, career or love? I prefer career, obviously, but I want to with someone, with my partner that support me in career. Okay, I will answer the question from Alia. How to support people with disabilities? You need to remember the word help is not appropriate. We need to change our mindset, not with the word help, but supporting people with disabilities. You need to remember that helping people with disabilities because they cannot do anything because they are disabilities. Actually, I can bring my own drink. I can make my own drink, just like you. If you help me, it means you need to bring me my drink because you help me. But I can do by myself. I can't do anything by myself. It means I need to be supported. Supporting by, I already explained before, you need to be open-minded and change from your own heart and brain. Make a change from that, and think about the access that needed by people with disability. The accessibility, it means from yourself, from your heart and your thoughts. How can I change to support people with disability and give their accessibility based on their needs? For instance, for deaf people, if you meet with deaf people and they might be has hard time to communicate with you, you can learn sign language. If you learn sign language, you make deaf people happy. It's the same thing for blind people. Maybe it's hard for them to see because they are blind. You can just whisper what the visual, or maybe you can ask them, you want to be accompanied by me to walk, and you will explain what you see around the while you walk. So the word support and also accessibility is the keyword. That's the two keywords. And accessibility is very important. It's different with accommodation. With accommodation, because accommodation, it means we need to give solution of the problem before the problem happens. We need to give the solution. But we need more to think about the accessibility, not the accommodation. If we met people with disability, we need to give the solution beforehand, not the afterwards. So we give them accessibility today to participate fully. And the accessibility, you can give them, and the disability will be happy after they can access what they need. I think it's answered already.
Okay, thank you so much, Gaia.
All right, so I think we are basically done with the Q&A session. Just before we end this session, I'd just like to ask if anybody wants to like unmute themselves and ask any questions. I think we have something from Alia. She said, from help to support and accessibility to solutions. Thank you for the enlightenment, Miss Laura. Yes, I love your hair. Thank you. All right, so I think we are basically done with the questions, I think. All right, so I'd just like to say thank you so much to our speakers, Ms. Laura, Ms. Sabrina, and Ms. Sazi Palak. We would like thank the 4 sign language interpreters as well. Thank you. You guys did amazing in interpreting the conversation. So with
Yeah,
that,
thank
I
you,
am
Ms.
Gaia.
Jasmine, Mr. Davi, Kaka, and Adi as well.
Yeah. So with that, I am Gaia, and we have.
And we are signing off as moderators, and we are returning the floor to Kim Sauer.
And yes, so thank you everyone for joining us our event. I'm the organizing team a youth for now. And yes, thanks. We will see you guys at the next event. So for the wrap up, I will give the floor to Dawn. Yes.
The one you can go ahead.
Oh, great. Thank you, everyone. We really appreciate you being here. And once again, we would like to acknowledge our partners. Alliance of Filipino Chinese Students, Ateneo Celadon, Bagat Youth Alliance, Center of Indonesia Sign Language Interpreter Service, Johnstown Marketing, UP Chinese Student Association, SGSC Student Council, USC Scholarly Accountancy, USC Scholarly Commerce, and our media partner, Chinoy TV, for making this event possible. We would also like to present the certificates of appreciation to our interpreters from Center of Indonesia Sign Language Interpreter Service for helping us to the event. We would like to have a photo session now, so please turn on your cameras, but keep muted.
Okay, so I think everyone can just turn on the camera and it's just time to share. Let me just check with Karen. Karen, are we ready to take the picture?
Yes. Okay,
Alright.
so can everyone turn on their cameras? All right, I see those beautiful faces. Okay, so guys, be ready for our picture and show us your beautiful smiles in 1, 2, 3. Okay, 4 more. Let's do this. Okay, again, 1, 2, 3. All right, I see those beautiful faces. Okay, 2 more, guys. I'm so sorry. There's a lot of participants. Okay, 1, 2, 3. All right, thank you so much.
All right, so Doan, floor is back to you.
Before we end today's session, oh, ooh. Before we end today's session, I wanted to ask a little bit more if any of you still want to have questions to our speakers for today. Just the last minute question. Is everybody good? All good. All right. Perfect. Doan, take it away.
Okay, thanks again everyone for joining us today, and we will see you the next time. Goodbye.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
You say, could you write a song for